Welcome back to another video on Influential Sports, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how I booked Jey Uso's World Championship reign, assuming that he's going to win at WrestleMania against Gunther. If he doesn't, I feel like he kind of wasted the Royal Rumble letting Jey win just to have him lose again to Gunther. But, I'm recording this on the 9th, the video will be out on the 16th, so the Raw that takes place, he'll likely beat Grayson Waller, and the story WWE hasn't been doing a good job building this story. Hopefully it picks up in these next few weeks building up to WrestleMania. But let's dive into the video, how I will fantasy book his world title reign. I think he wins at WrestleMania and holds at the SummerSlam. Now let's get into it. Jey Uso and Gunther likely start off WrestleMania night 1. And I think the first thing I do is make this a last man standing match. You can have Jey Uso prove that he can hang with Gunther. And this way you don't have Gunther eat a pin. And then you can have Jey Uso outlast Gunther to win the World Heavyweight Championship to start off the show, showing that grit and grind to get to this point to become the world champion. And then the other matches that are going to affect Jey Uso's story is a triple threat with Seth, Roman, and Punk, assuming that's the match, and make that number 1 contenders match, and actually have Seth win it. Because if Roman goes away for a little bit, that's fine, because it's going to lead to something else. And then you can see him CM Punk to SmackDown, because they still need some star power over there. Like, Raw is still really good, and you can have CM Punk fluctuate between both brands. But I don't think he should interact with Jey during his world title reign. Well, I don't think they should have a match. But you have Seth win that match, and then you have Braun Breaker lose the IC title. To who, it doesn't really matter, because there's really no story at this moment. I mean, you do have guys in the mid-card scene, but Braun Breaker barely wrestles. But I would have him drop the title at WrestleMania. So that's WrestleMania. Those are the 3 matches that are important for Jey Uso's story, and that's what's going to lead to him having a good World Championship reign. April 21st, the Raw after WrestleMania, you have Jey come out, cut a emotional promo, talk about how much he worked to get to this point, the effort that he put in, all the years of hard work from 2010 to get to this moment, basic stuff. Then you have Seth Rollins come out there and interrupt since he won the number 1 contenders match. And then that's pretty much it. That's as far as, you don't have to go super in depth with that promo. It can be something emotional. And then Seth will come out there and just letting Jey know, like, last time that I had that championship, you couldn't beat me for it, and it's still that way now if we were to once we do run this match back. So then the next week, on April 28th, you have Sami congratulate Jey Uso backstage, and they embrace with each other. And then Seth, he meet him backstage, goes on a tangent or whatever, starts disrespecting Sami and Jey. Then they challenged him to a tag team match. It was like me and Sami against you and the partner you're choosing at Saturday night's main event, which is going to be May 24th. So then on May 5th, that edition of Raw, Seth, he brings out Karrion Kross as his tag team partner. He was like, we have a common enemies, and then Karrion Kross, he's great at making people turn into heels, and Seth is going to be a heel at this point, I would assume. And then Karrion Kross, he would have beat Sami already at WrestleMania, and instead of doing a 50-50 booking where you had him do multiple one-on-one matches, you could put them into a tag team feud with each other as well. So then you have Kross become Seth's partner. Jey Uso, he come out there, and you don't even have to have Jey come out there. You have Seth announce Kross as his partner. Then that ends that segment. So what you do next, because I think this is going to be a part of Jey Uso's reign. I think Jey Uso is going to be a fighting champion. I feel like he's going to be there week in, week out. I say you have Jey do an open challenge to start off the show. Rey Mysterio accepts. Obviously, they got respect for each other. Have Jey Uso win that match. So, like, his first defense is get somebody credible. It's an open challenge, and then he gets a win to start off the show against Rey Mysterio. But actually, you could have that. They can't have a start off because of the Seth and Kross segment I talked about. You had it be the main event, so that way Seth and Karrion Kross can come out there and attack Jey. Then Sami come down to the ring and make the save. Moving on to May 5th, the next week, Jey Uso, he has a one-on-one match with Karrion Kross, and he ends up winning that match, but Seth ends up beating Sami Zayn in the match. I think you keep building tag team feud, and you keep building the feud with Seth and Jey that way, because they're going to have a tag team match where they interact with each other at the TV special Saturday night's main event right before that. So then moving on to May 19th, that's when you had the final promo battle with Jey and Sami against Cross and Seth. And then essentially the thing is you essentially building two storylines in one. Like you already got the stuff for Cross and Sami, and then Seth, he disrespects Sami and how he's always riding Jey Uso's coattails or whatever. So it adds more story because they all have history in some way. And then you bring Karrion Kross into the picture, who would have had a WrestleMania match with Sami Zayn, assuming that happens. And then May 24th at Saturday Night's Main Event, you do the tag team match with uh, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso versus Karrion Kross and Seth Rollins, and you have Sami Zayn pinning Karrion Kross. And then if you do want to do a one-on-one match once again with Sami and Karrion Kross, have Kross win again, because Sami, he won't be hurt by losing to Kross multiple times. It'll elevate Karrion Kross a lot more than it will for Sami Zayn. But I think it'll be a great way to build a feud if you want to extend it past WrestleMania and help build up Jey and Seth's feud going into Backlash, which will probably be May 31st. I don't think the date is confirmed, but that's likely when it will be. Then after that match, you have Seth and Jey stare each other down in the ring, just like letting him know, like, I'm coming after that title. It's not getting away from me this time. And then that's like the one stare down after the match. May 26th on that Raw, you have the final promo segment with Seth and Jey Uso. And then you have Jey initiate the brawl because of how disrespectful Seth is being towards him. Because Seth is really disrespectful as a heel, so he can get disrespectful. Then you have Jey standing tall after that. Then May 31st, which is, I'm assuming that's when Backlash is going to be, you have Jey Uso defend his title against Seth to start Backlash, and Jey Uso, he retains the championship. Eventually, Jey Uso will be main eventing other shows as I get into it. But I think because it's in Mexico, they'll probably give somebody like Penta or Rey Mysterio the main event, and that's realistically what they'll do, because show some spotlight, some shine on the Mexican and stars that's in WWE. So I would have them kick off Backlash, and Jey Uso gets the crowd hype anyways. And the match he had with Seth, it was solid, and I think you can tell the story of Seth. Like Jey couldn't beat him when he was the champion, even if it was interference. And Jey wasn't able to get the job done. But that's how you get that out the way. Those his first few defenses. You have him putting on solid matches, showing up. So the next Raw is June 2nd after this, and you had Roman Reigns return to Raw. He calls out Jey Uso, basically setting up their match for money, setting up a Money in the Bank match, because obviously Jey and Roman have wrestled 3 times, so I'm not mistaken, for the World Championship, and Jey wasn't able to win any of those times. So you could tell the story of Jey finally being able, like, he's learned Roman so much, he knows him a lot better now, that he's able to beat him because of how close he was the last time before Jimmy ruined the match. And then that basically ends that segment. Then the next week, June 9th, you have Jey do another open challenge. Ludwig Kaiser, he accepts it because now you bring Gunther back into the story. You have Ludwig Kaiser trying to get revenge for Gunther after Jaden beat him. He's like, you know what, I'm going to come out here, accept the challenge, and win the championship and get it back where it belongs with Imperium. And then obviously Jey Uso, he's going to retain. Then you have Kaiser and Gunther beat him down. Then you have Roman Reigns come out there and save him. I think if you build up a story with Roman and Jey, he's going to be on Raw consistently for the few weeks to build up to Money in the Bank. It's not going to be too crazy. And then that June 16th, yeah, I got a lot of dates for Roman around June, but it's just to build up this story. Jey and Roman, I think you had them beat Imperium in a tag team match that following week on June 16th. And then June 23rd, you had a Roman and Jey, where they go back and forth. Roman can talk about how he's always beat Jey, how he's always been the tribal chief. And Jey can talk about how the last time they had the match, he was so close to winning until Jimmy came out there. And then it can go even deeper. It's probably stuff they know about each other they haven't said yet on TV, and they can really build deep into that. Then the date for Money in the Bank isn't confirmed. It's likely June 28th or July 5th. So assuming that it's on whatever day it is, the Raw on June 30th, I say you have Jey Uso rest on that. with whatever it's the Raw before Money in the Bank, I say you let Jey Uso get some rest, because based on how they booked this, he done showed up every week and wrestled consistently. And then you do the match at Money in the Bank, which is either July 28th or July 5th, and then you have Roman Reigns. You have Jey Uso finally beat Roman Reigns in a match. You had that be the main event because of their story, because of their history, the bloodline stuff that started with Jey Uso. That's how it kicked off. And then the progression of Jey through the bloodline story. I would have that main event Money in the Bank and have Jey Uso retain the world heavyweight championship. But early in the night, I would have, like midway through the show, I have Braun Breaker return in the backstage segment. Like Braun Breaker, he took a little time off after losing the IC title, trying to get back into things, and he cut his promo. He was like, he coming after the world championship. He gonna be in the world title picture, and he not gonna, like, this would be a perfect reason not to put him in Money in the Bank, because he took some time off to get right, get better, and realize what he needs to do better to win a championship again and hold it for a longer period of time. So yeah, that's how I booked that. On July 7th, that's another episode of Raw. I will have Jey cut a promo to end the show, talk about how good his world title reigns been, how everybody doubted him, this and that, and how he's going to defend against anybody, anywhere. Then you have Grayson Waller come out there and accept the challenge. Then Jey Uso wins the match to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. And that ends that Raw on a high note, I say, because I think they could put on a solid match. Like I said, I'm recording this on the 9th before Monday on the 10th when they do have their match. But if you run it back, that could also be a solid match for Jey Uso's story. We're almost at the end of this, so buckle in and see how it's going to unfold. July 12th, Saturday night's main event, have Braun Breaker to start the show. He cut a promo basically calling out Jey Uso, because y'all know they tied 1-1 in matches, both over the Intercontinental Championship. But if Jey Uso is the world champion, they definitely had to have a feud and be that deciding match to end their trilogy. So then, on July 14th, that Raw, you can have Braun Breaker attack Jey Uso during a backstage segment. And he cutting a promo with Kathy Kelly or Jackie Redmond, whichever one. And then they ask him some questions. Then Braun Breaker come out of nowhere and attack him. July 21st, you have Jey Uso do another open challenge. This time it's Finn Balor that accepts it. And then he ends in Jey Uso retained the title, obviously, in this open challenge that you got to build him and Braun Breaker. But it's another title defense on a weekly episode of Raw, and we don't get that consistently from world champions. And I think Guy's the perfect guy to do it. And then I think you have Braun Breaker squash Carlito in a match. And then you have Jey Uso come out there and attack Braun Breaker, trying to get his revenge for last week. Then on July 28th, you got one final promo with Jey Uso and Braun Breaker, them going back and forth. Like I said, you have some type of history from earlier from 2024, later parts of the year, because they won one against each other. And then August 3rd, when you do SummerSlam, depending on how the card is built, you could make Jey and Braun Breaker the night 2 main event, make it the best. You can make it a false count anywhere match. Or you can make it the main event of night 1. But either way, Jey should definitely main event SummerSlam. If Jey Uso and Braun Breaker should main event SummerSlam, if that's in my mind, because they had a story. They got their matches they had were solid. For people that always talk about Jey Uso being bad at ring, he's definitely had some solid matches with Braun Breaker. So you can have Braun Breaker beat Jey Uso in a false count anywhere match to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Then Braun Breaker turns babyface after this. Braun Breaker and Jey Uso, they shake hands afterwards. And then that ends Jey Uso's title reign. You get Braun Breaker in the World Heavyweight scene. You finally turn him face. Because I think he's still a heel for now. But I think at some point, like around that time, it'll be great for Braun Breaker to end up being a babyface holding the World Championship for a little bit. Or if you have him be a heel for a few more months as a dominant champion. But I think that's how you end it. So in total, I have 20 out of 21 televised dates for Jey Uso from WrestleMania to SummerSlam. He beats Gunther to win the World Heavyweight Championship, obviously. He had 11 matches, 3 or none title matches, and he wins all 3 of those matches. At 7 title matches, he goes 7-1 in those title matches to beating Gunther and one of them to win the championship. having 6 successful title defenses, then losing to Braun Breaker finally. Then just to recap some of the stories I told, Jey Uso and Sami Zayn beating Karrion Kross and Seth Rollins, because you have 2 stories there. Jey beating Karrion Kross is part of that same story. Jey and Roman beating Imperium as it leads into the Jey and Roman story, but it also builds back the Gunther story that he had around WrestleMania. And people that Jey Uso would beat is Seth, Roman, Finn Balor, Ludwig Kaiser, Rey Mysterio, Gunther, and Grayson Waller. And he'll beat all of them in his title defenses and finally lose to Braun Breaker. But he's wrestling at every pay-per-view, or he's at, not wrestling, yeah, he's wrestling at every pay-per-view. He's at every event, only have him missing 1 show. But that is how I would book Jey Uso's World Heavyweight Championship reign. If y'all like it, let me know. If y'all don't like it, let me know. But this was a cool fantasy booking session that I did. I enjoyed making this. And yeet.